Okay. Okay. Thank you guys for joining this session. This is your second session or the demo session 2 for the API automation trainings along with your rest assured and integrated with your AI tools. Okay. So just to give you a refresher, every time we will have a session, we will make sure that we are giving a 5 minutes through what all things we have discussed in the previous session, because it's very, very much necessary so that we all are in sync and we are not out of link. Okay, so just to give you 5 minutes brief, what all things we have discussed. We have worked upon what is the what first of all the entire course curriculum I have discussed with you, huh? That what all things I'll be teaching you, I'll be giving you in the next 3.5 months. Fine, multiple things were there. Fine. Then what we have discussed about some basic concepts like what is actual API testing is. Okay, and as an automation engineer, what you have to test, what you have to automate, and where you have to work on. Okay, so we have discussed upon what UI testing layer and the API testing layer. Fine. What is the difference between all those things? Then we have discussed about actually in two ways in the layman term. First of all, what API is. Then we have discussed about in more technical work that how API interact with two client and the server parties in the real time world. Okay. So what is an API? So basically API is an application programming interface, guys, huh? That is helping you to integrate two systems which are actually communicating, or which are actually written on two different programming languages, or having two different operating systems, or they're entirely different from each other. Fine. API has nothing to do with on what programming language your two systems are actually written. The only work, mainly work of an API is to integrate those two systems via some sort of a messaging protocol. Fine. So we can have either a JSON via protocol as a messaging protocol. We can use some XML formats or XML protocol to transfer our data or a request from what? From your client to the server, and your response back from server to the client. Fine. So we have understood what actually API is. And then what we have taken multiple real-time examples, and we have taken some other examples like your restaurant examples of an waiter and you as an user, and your what chef as a server. Then we have worked upon and we have seen what different types of other examples like weather APIs examples, some payment gateway examples, Google Maps, and then we have worked and you know known about your travel booking APIs in very detail. How travel booking APIs are actually working, and how different airlines have actually what exposed their multiple APIs. Multiple airlines have exposed their APIs to the travel booking engines, travel booking sites. Hmm? And then we have discussed in technical more detailed flow how your JSON request was actually going as a request from your client to the server, and how a server actually processing a request back to the client. So all these things we know, we have discussed. Fine. Now, apart from that, I have discussed up with you a couple of tier structures. What are these? So two-tier structure was basically a very old, very orthodox sort of a tier structure that consists of only two things: client and server. That's it. Then we have discussed about its various disadvantages, and obviously three-tier structure or an n-tier structure is the best one right now that is working in the market, and it has uh, resolved all the disadvantages of the two-tier structure. Fine. Okay. Then what? What we worked on, what we discussed. We discussed previously upon what is the difference between API and the web service. Okay. So I'll take it more deep and detail today. We will be working and checking out what REST API is, what are the different guidelines to create a REST APIs. Okay. What are the how REST API is actually created. Okay. And what we should keep in mind as a developer, as a automation engineer, while to test your APIs, okay, during an automation or during a manual testing. So all these things we will discuss up today, and multiple other things. Okay. So what is API and what is web service? So I told you guys all the APIs which you can actually mount or host it on the what internet, or it is utilized with the help of your HTTP protocol, that becomes a web service for you. Fine. Web services are nothing. Web services are all the APIs which are hosted on the internet. Or we can say that all the APIs which require some internet connection to be utilized, to be used, that all comes under the category of web service. It's not very big term, or it's not a very big differences between the APIs and web services. Both are almost common 90% of the time, but it's about whether you are utilizing your APIs internally, okay, some sort of jar files or some sort of your a hardware, or if you have mounted or utilizing your APIs via internet connection. Fine. So for an example, we have a web service called as weather APIs. So weather APIs are obviously an API, but since weather APIs are being used over the internet, fine, to actually fetch the resource from the web server, it becomes a web service. What is an example of API? So API, we know what? In calculator, that is integrated with your mobile phones, desktop, and all these things. So that basically becomes an API for you. Or we have some Android APIs, some Windows API. So that comes under a category of the APIs only. Fine. So all these things we discuss. Fine. And now we know that what is the actual difference between my API and my web service is. Okay. Perfect. Then we discuss about a few things, differences of your SOAP and REST-based API. So basically, guys, there are three types of APIs in the market: SOAP, REST, and GraphQL. So SOAP was, now it has become, almost diminished from the market. It was, really used around 5 7 years back. We used to do testing via SOAP UI Pro, or some other tools. But right now it's not much use of market, because why? First of all, it is more complex. It uses a heavyweight XML protocol for a messaging protocol, if I can consider, for transferring the data from the client to the server and your response from the server to the client. So obviously, we won't be working on the SOAP APIs, because we really don't want to waste our time in learning all those things which market is not requiring now. Fine. So then what? We will be entirely working on two main APIs, or two types of APIs, that are REST APIs and your GraphQL APIs. So to start with, we will start your things with the REST APIs. First of all, we will try to test multiple scenarios, multiple collections, multiple use cases with the REST APIs, and then we will be seeing your GraphQL APIs also. Fine. Okay. Now, tell me what REST API is. Hmm? So I told you REST, I can say a full form, or acronym for the REST is what? Representational state transfer. Hmm? This is something you have to memorize or learn. That what is a full form? Obviously, there is no logic behind it. So representational stateless transfer. It is the full form of your REST. Fine. I told you why it is called as statelessness. Why REST is statelessness. Hmm? I've told you, in the yesterday session also, we will be discussing up more on this statelessness and statefulness today also. But see this. What is today all about? It is about the REST APIs. So I know now REST is something which is called as representational statelessness transfer APIs. But how actually it looks like? How you can create a REST API? How developer is actually creating a REST APIs? Are there any documentation or some procedures to be followed to make or to create a REST API? Or how does it look like? Okay, so let us just see this. I'll just okay, see this. So what happened, guys? REST APIs are the APIs, obviously. So these are obviously mounted and utilized via internet only. So they need some internet, obviously, to a person to utilize all these APIs. Fine. You cannot use or utilize or expose your REST APIs without any internet services. So they are exposed over the HTTP protocol. They are using some sort of a protocol. Protocol is what for? It is for transferring your data from the client to the server and server back to the client. Fine. This is now REST APIs. Okay. Are there any sort of documentation that one should actually follow or can read to actually know how the REST APIs are created? So yes, there is a documentation which most of the people don't know. So what this documentation is about, now understand the case. If you are from a Selenium Java background, or if you have actually worked something on the Selenium Java, you know that all your browsers are now W3C standardized. World Wide Web Consortium, this is the website. So they have actually, uh, uh, what they are actually specified from their case, that now your W3C is standardized. They have standardized your browsers, and now the Selenium driver version that we are having in the market is also W3C standardized. The BiDi protocol, if you are following that latest structure of Selenium, it is working on the BiDi protocol on which the Playwright was actually working. Okay, so what it is saying, that you should actually follow some standards. So that it is easy for you also to communicate with whichever tool or whichever servers you want to communicate. Okay, so let us suppose, I'll just create a sort of a paint diagram for you. Just suppose you have what? One client. Okay, your client is having, then you have one what? APIs, obviously at a middle level layer. I know this thing now. APIs works at the middle level and at your servers. Okay, so this is at my server. So what if I'm saying, guys, that all these clients, servers, and APIs should be some sort of a standardized way. There should be some standard that everyone should be following. Like what? Like in that way, if I am expecting, if your server is expecting a data should be sent in the JSON format from the client via API to the server. Obviously, server will be expecting that only. If you are actually starting sending server a request which is of text format or HTML format, fine. Whether this will accept it? No, it won't. So there is a proper way, proper standard set that if you are sending a request, okay, there is already a deal done, a contract done between the client and the server. Okay, and in that way only API has to bring the data from the client to the server and response server back to the client. Fine. Now, how our API is written? See this. If you will just Google it, okay, you can just bookmark this website also. This is the RFC documentation. So this RFC documentation, guys, is the documentation that most of the good coders, good developers are actually using it. It's not for the testers, for developing. See, obviously we are not here for developing the APIs. Huh? You know that. You are an automation engineer or you are a manual tester, guys. So you have to understand, you have to obviously have a word with the developer that how this API is created. Or in the second sense, I can say that you should always know, always take some documents from your developer that what this API is actually expecting. And by expectations, I means whether this API, if it is a API that is only giving me the user details, can I post some user also in this case? Can I create a user, or it is only for my get request? Huh? I can only fetch the users from here. You should know whether I have to pass some body or not. What is the response I am expecting? What is the response body? What is the schema? Huh? What is the headers I am expecting in this case? Or how many headers I have to give? Or do I have some authorization to actually work on this particular API, or I'll be getting some unauthorized access? All these things you should always have a word with your developer before testing a particular API. That is an a standard you should always follow. Fine. Now see this. This is an RFC documentation. Obviously, it's very complex to understand also. So it's not for everyone. But I'm just showing you why. Because see, this is the documentation that most of the developers follow. And if they are not following, they should start following this because it consists of everything. How? If I'll just open a particular get request only for you guys, first of all, it's written in very, very technical language, so probably not able for you also to understand. It is saying that get is the most commonly and useful HTTP method. Yes, it's retrieval semantics. What are semantics? Hmm? So it's retrieval semantics allow caching and some side effect free linking. That means it is saying that get request is usefully for fetching some data. Huh? Queries can be performed with a get request. Hmm? So everything is written inside this documentation that how you have to create your API. If you are creating your API with a get request only, then make sure no body should be passed because we are not here to create a user with this help of a get request. If you're assigning an API with the get request, then only details can be fetched and nothing else. Fine. So this is a complete level of documentation. If you want to just go through it, you can go through it because obviously it will surely give you a high level knowledge that what all things actually you can test inside the APIs. Okay, because the API testing is obviously I say it's not very easy for everyone, but if you know how you're doing the API testing, or if you're inside a project that are using the APIs to be tested, you are a person to go. Fine. So just take it as a bookmark. Kindly try to read just high levelly what this RFC documentation says and what all standards we have to follow to create an API. Fine. Okay. This is one of the case. Now understand. So now you understood that this is a documentation that one should follow for creation of the APIs. But how REST API looks like? Hmm? How it should look like? See, I'm just uh, I'm just trying to now take another example with the same thing that I have discussed with you yesterday, that is a calculator. So I'm just trying to write uh, some sort of a Java file, smaller, just not very big one. I'm just writing few methods. Uh, okay, I'm saying what? Then I'll tell you how API looks like. Okay, I've created M1. So, guys, if you are from Java background, if you have some knowledge, then you might be able to understand. Otherwise, it's not a very big deal. I have just created four methods. And what are the methods? It's calculator. Okay. It's a calculator.java. Consider a class, Java class is there, inside which I have considered two what parameters from the user input. And I am saying just create a what? A calculator for me. Fine. So this is a calculator. So obviously in a calculator, I have majorly four functionalities, correct? I have four methods, four functionalities. Each method is defining a proper business logic. Okay. Return C. So I'm actually returning the response also to be utilized. Okay. I hope, yeah, this is clear and fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now understood what I'm saying. I have written a proper calculator.java class. Now I'll tell you how this API will look like. This is the Java class. Fine. Understanding the real time also. It consists of four methods, M1, M2, M3, M4. All four methods are doing some functionality: addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication in the real world. Obviously, it will do. How it is doing that, it is expecting some user input, that you provide me two inputs like A and B, and I am going to first of all do a summation for you, and I am going to return that summation in my method one. In my second method, what I am doing, you are giving me two user inputs. I'll be doing what? A subtraction method, and I'll be returning a subtraction amount for you. In third method, what I'm doing, doing a division. That you give me two values and you tell me what operation I have to perform, and I'll do that for you. That's it. So this is what? A business logic written inside a particular API. Fine. This is the business logic that you have to test whether you are getting a proper data also or not. Hmm? How about if I'm saying if I'm just passing null here, A also null, B also null, will it accept it? So these all things you have to pass as an QA manual tester or as an automation tester. Fine. So this is a calculator.java API, a Java class. But how your API will look like? See this now. I'm just creating a sample API for you, how it will look like. So what happened, guys? This calculator.java, this file is actually hosted on the internet. Okay, by creating a sort of a REST API. And once the REST API is created by the developer based upon this particular logic, whatever I have written now, okay, this API will be provided to the client. And then the expectations will be that client sends a proper JSON request. Okay, JSON request what? In this form, a sort of this particular form, like value of A is what? 10. Then value of B is what? 20. And third thing is what? Sorry. Third thing is what? Third thing, it is saying operation. It is expecting an operation also. What about operation? I want addition. So this is how a JSON request internally, it is going from the client to the server on that calculator API. Till now API is not created. Fine. It's just a Java class. So at the backend, those Java methods will be called as soon as you are hitting a particular calculator API. Okay, now understood what I'm saying. So developer have done what? They have actually created some backend Java class. On the top of the Java class, they have actually mounted this particular Java class over the internet by creating a REST API. Now, first of all, see this, how REST API will look like. I told you that for fetching or for utilizing a API via internet over, we have to use some protocol. This is the HTTP or HTTPS protocol. You can use anything. So see the sample API, how they have written. So now this thing. See, this is what? This is a REST API. It's a simple one. It's not very, hectic or complex that you are not able to understand what REST APIs are. This is a very simple REST API that a user or developer has created for a calculator with four different functions. Fine, like addition, then he can have a subtraction, multiplication, and a division. So inside this, what happening, guys? See what happening. I'm telling just a second. Okay. So these are the single API. The base URI, base API remains same. HTTPS www.abc.com and calculator. These are the endpoints that a person is actually hitting. If you want to give this addition method, and multiplication will be hitting when he is giving multiplication here. Subtraction will be hitting when he is giving subtraction here, and that's it. That's how a API is created. And this API will be mounted or hosted over the internet. So every user publicly over entire country and the globe, you can actually use this particular API to utilize it, okay, at your end. Means now the developer has actually exposed this particular API. So any third party application like calculator or some desktop based application or some sort of a third party wants to utilize this API, they can just directly integrate this particular API into their system. That's how a REST API looks like. Okay. So once a client is going to hit this particular API, what happens, guys, internally? Okay, based upon this JSON request, what type of data or what type of operation he wants to perform, a particular API will be hitting. Okay, and then this API will be sending to where? Sending to my server, web server, database server, and the database server is going to give me the response in what format? Similar format. See, inside this similar format, I'm going to get the response, but in this way. So it is going to give me something like this. No addition, something like this. So it is going to give me that's it. This is the response I am actually getting as a user on my front end. But this is obviously you cannot see. Huh? Obviously, as a user, as an end user, can you see this? What request I am sending, technically, what response I am getting? And this is a simple thing I've told you. So that's how calculator API or calculator functionality can be mounted on an internet, can be converted to a REST API, and then we can just test what all things we want to test via Postman or REST Assured or any other client tool. But what I'm trying to tell you, this is how a API looks like. Okay, a simple thing. These are the endpoints. What do you want to hit? Addition, multiplication, subtraction, division. Just hit it. Whatever you want to use it from my API. I'm giving you all the functions. Hmm? Okay. I hope you understood this thing. Okay. Now let us just open one more thing. I'm just opening a Amazon application. Fine. Now see this. As soon as I am opening this particular application, what happens? Internally, a API just went. That Nishant has just clicked on this particular website, and internally a API will be sent. Or as soon as I am coming on or landing on this particular page, I just want to search for what? I am searching for iPhone 17 and hitting it enter. As soon as I hit it enter, so whatever iPhones are available and whatever keywords it took from my search elements, it is going to show everything. All the elements it is going to show to me. Fine. Can you see this? 16 also, and all these, everything, whatever it's written inside the APIs or whatever it is being taking from this keywords, it is going to take all the things. Also, it is giving some suggestions. So what happens internally, guys, with this proper request? Okay, with this request that our user is searching for an iPhone 17 Pro Max, a request will be sent internally to that, to what? A search API of this Amazon, and then that this API will be hit to the servers. It will be going to the web server, app server. Then it will be bringing the data from that web app server back to the client. Who is the client? Amazon is the client, and I am the user. So I am able to get or see the responses in this way. As an end user, I really don't know what's happening inside. But as an automation engineer, I should know. And that's why and where I have to test my APIs. Understood why and where. So you should also know that what all things you have to test, why you have to test, and where you have to test. Okay. As an UI thing, obviously nothing is of your concern. But as an backend guy, as an backend engineer, you should know where you have to test all these things. Now, see this with the help of a pictorial view that I've created for you guys. Okay, see this now. Okay, see. So you are a client or a user. Fine. Okay, you went onto an Amazon application, the same thing that I did today. What you search? You are saying that I want to search for a particular product with the name iPhone 16. Okay. Internally, a JSON request with this sort of a data, which I really don't know what type of data it is creating, but it is going to create in such some sort of a data that my product name is what? iPhone 16, and I want to search it. Okay, I want to search it. So what it will do, a request will be sent to a API. So this is an API of a search product. Let us consider. This is not an exact API, but what I'm giving you is an example that it will be something like this. It is will having be some protocols, then base URL, then search product endpoint. As soon as this API is hit, this API is going to take or going to hit the business logic, the backend logic, which consists of several methods. And I really don't know what all things are written inside the method. Probably it's written that as soon as a particular user search for a particular product, so whatever keywords you could find, you can just search a list out of it, take that list from the database and return that entire list. So there can be multiple methods written in this way only. So what this particular backend logic will do, it will going to search all the things inside its database or in the web app server. And as soon as the details are found, so this web app server is going to return a response in this way. See, what is the response? I'm having iPhone 16 with the color pink, or item 2 I'm having this again iPhone 16 with the color black. All the details, if it is having 1,000 details, 100 details, whatever it is, this it will going to throw you the proper response, the entire response back from the web app server, okay, to the same API, and this API then bringing the same data or the response in front of you as a user on the client. Okay, guys. So this is how a API looks like. This is how an API looks like. This is how an API works internally for everything. See, this is a REST API, so it works in this way only. It is designed in this way only. So you have to also understand that you have to learn in this way. Fine. If you learn by a proper procedure, if you know things conceptually, it'll be easy for you to test everything. You then be knowing that where you have to test the things. Huh? Fine. I hope you understand this thing. Hmm? School? Okay. Now, what next? I told you there are some guidelines, some what standards that has to be followed to actually write or create an API. I know now that I have created an API and how API looks like. I also know this. I also know that RFC documentation it has to be followed to create an API. But what are the guidelines to create an API? Are there some guidelines? Yes, there are. And this is not required for a developer, but as an automation engineer guy, you should also know this thing. Hard-heartedly, you should know this thing. You should learn, you should memorize. Huh? What are the guidelines? Because on these guidelines also, guys, you have to work upon. See now. Now I'll be writing few guidelines. Guidelines are what? Some standards, a procedural way that you should actually create your APIs, or APIs should have been created in this way only. You need not to create an API, but you have to test it that whether these are created in this way or not. Huh? First of all, what? Whosoever is creating an API or whosoever is actually testing this API, he have to make sure that there should be a proper client server architecture followed. What is this? Hmm? I told you there should be at least two parties involved in bringing the data and sending the data. I told you, I have shown you two-tier structure. Huh? In two-tier structure, what happens? There is a client, there is a server. This is the mandate. If you don't have any of these, your APIs won't be of any use. Let's suppose if you don't have a client, okay, then who is going to show you the responses? Where you are going to get the responses if you don't have any client? So if you're testing via Postman also, understand it. Postman is the client here. Because you are hitting that particular API on a certain client. If you're testing it via REST assured or HTTP client, so these are the clients. You are a user. Huh? So there should be a proper client server architecture has to be followed if you are creating your APIs and if you want to integrate your APIs with this structure. This is one thing you should keep in mind, okay, before testing it and before developing. Fine. Then there should be a uniform what interface followed. Like what? See, I'm telling you what does this means. I'm just writing a few specific commands. Okay, now understand. REST API says that whatever APIs you are creating in the REST, okay, first of all, a proper client level server of architecture should be followed. There should be there. Fine. There should be a client server and then APIs to integrate. Then what? There should be a uniform interface allowed followed. What does this mean? It means if someone developer is following some sort of a documentation like RFC or any other documentation to create a API, then there should be properly uh, steps followed that if you are using a GET request, you should be fetching the resources. You are not suddenly trying to create a resource via GET. So GET is specifically for fetching of the user details, fetching of the user information from the server. What POST is for? POST is specifically for your creating a user on the database or on the server. What is put? Put is for updating the details. What is patch? Patch is for partial updation. Hmm? It's not something like this that today you are using your API with a delete command and delete is perfectly working fine. But tomorrow, what happens because of some changes or something like this, your delete now start working as a what? Put. Is this the way? Hmm? Is this something your REST APIs are being followed now? Huh? You have to raise a bug. Also, you can ask, you know what? In some companies, what happens, guys? Post request also sometimes act as a what? For fetching of the details. I don't know, what documentations they have followed and why they are doing this, but I've seen in my previous companies also, we have actually raised a bug for this thing. Developers, they have actually created an API that if you are hitting a post request and if you are just giving a API, so details will be fetched. That was horrible. Hmm? So you should have a proper understanding that a uniform interface should be followed. That now I know get is for fetching, post is for creating a user. How can you tell me that use post for get? No, that is something that REST API says the guidelines are there that whatever specific commands or HTTP verbs are there, you have to use for that specific purpose only. Fine. Third is what? Statelessness. I've told you yesterday also, there are two communications, statelessness and statefulness communication. So what is this statelessness communication? What happens in this case? Uh, First, I'll tell you statefulness. So you have seen the chatbots, hmm, Playwright, or WebSockets. All these work on the concept of statefulness. What does this mean? It means that once a session is created with a particular server, until and unless it is broken down, same request will be sending in internally to the server from your side. Means if you are sending uh, what hi, okay, to a particular chatbot, if you are just chatting with someone, so you are sending hi, so that hi details, okay, should know the status of your previous request that you have sent. Okay, that means the state of the previous request is known to the second request. Fine. Or we can consider that server obviously keep a session details or obviously keep a request details of your previous request, and that's how it makes a statefulness things from your WebSockets or Playwrights and your what chatbots. All this works on this way only. But what statelessness says, guys, that server has nothing to do what request you are sending. It has nothing to do. Neither it is going to store your things, nor session IDs, nor any other information request. Every time server needs a fresh request communication info from the client in terms of session IDs or in some sort of headers, bodies, and all these things. So every time a request is sent to the server, it will be purely new request. The second request does not have any information, does not have any inference from the previous request or what it was sent. Neither server is going to store any sessions or anything for you. Hmm? This is going to make all the requests purely independent of each other. So whenever REST APIs are created, it is created in this way only. So you have to make sure that it is following that particular state. Okay, fine. Statelessness communication has to be followed, or these are the guidelines that has to be kept in mind before creating a REST API. Fine. I hope this is clear to you. Okay. Next what? Cacheable. Hmm? What is caching? No, anyone knows what is caching? You have heard the term, obviously. Huh? What is caching? So caching is what? Is caching good or bad? First of all, basically, what happens in caching, guys. You understand? A simple layman example. First of all, you do Googling. A lot of people do Googles. Let's suppose if you're searching for again a particular product on the Google, okay, you're just typing iPhone 16. Can you see how fast that Google is responding to you? It is going to show you a hundred and thousands of websites or the list from you where you can actually purchase that iPhone 16, or whatever links, whatever information Google has, it is going to throw you at once. It is not taking time. It is not taking seconds even. Within milliseconds, as soon as you hit the request, multiple links from where you can purchase it, multiple information sites will be given to you, whatever it is available there. Okay. So how does this happening? See, guys, what happens in the real world? Millions of people are obviously searching for this particular product. So what Google has done, or what these big sites or big companies have done, they've actually created a sort of a caching mechanism, a caching server in between the client and the server. So here client is what? Google. Okay, you are the user, you are hitting a particular request asking for iPhone 16. Now as soon as this iPhone request is sent, it is not directly hitting their web servers. No. Hmm? Consider a case if millions of users are hitting the request on their web server. can't you think that their web server is going to be down or it is going to be crashed? Hmm? Something has to be happened. So for that reason only, when Google says that you are searching the same product or you are searching for the same thing again and again, why not to create a server in middle layer or in middleware in such a way that your request is neither sent to our web server directly, and whatever information we are having at the caching server, it is going to return to you in milliseconds. So that's what it did now. It actually improved the performance also, execution time also, huh? And no performance bottlenecks at the web servers level. Hmm? So this caching mechanism is basically used when someone wants the data again and again. You are searching for the same data again and again multiple times for multiple users. For that reason, caching servers are actually required. And hence, in the case of creating of APIs also, REST API is also doing the same thing. They're not directly hitting the web server, so that particular API. But in middleware in between your client and the actual server, there is a caching server present from where this API is actually bringing the data. So while creating a REST APIs, guidelines are these that you should always keep in this mind that it should be following some caching mechanism. It should be statelessness in nature. It should following the statelessness communication. Then there should be a proper uniform interface followed, and there should be a proper client level server architecture. Fine. Okay. Now see this. The same I have prepared for you sort of a slide also just to give you a pictorial view. Fine. See this. Fine. What is thing? Some REST APIs and guidelines to create an APIs. What are these? First of all, REST APIs are what? It's a representational state transfer application programming interface. Consists a set of rules that defines how applications should interact with each other over the internet. Perfect. We know this now. So REST APIs are a way for different software systems to communicate, exchange data, and they are based on the principles of REST. What are these principles? Hmm? These are the architectural style for designing the applications. So REST APIs basically uses the standard HTTP protocol, which consists of different methods like these I've already told you to perform some operations on the resources. Hmm? Okay. So what are the key principles, guys? First of all, statelessness is a nature that each request from the client to a server must contain all the information needed to understand and process the request. Means all the requests are now separate or independent of each other. Perfect. Next, what? All these things should follow a proper uniform interface, that a standard way for clients to communicate or interact with the APIs. We using these HTTP methods. Hmm? Okay. Then a proper client level server architecture should be followed. Like there should be a client, there should be a server, and in between, if you want to put the API, that should work in that way then. Then last, cacheable, that response from the APIs can be cached to improve the performance. So guys, understand, obviously memorize because these are the questions being asked in the interviews directly. They're not asking you the definition of REST. They are asking you, tell me, Manoj, what are the different principles or the guidelines to create a REST APIs? If you have already worked on REST APIs, you will see, I'm an automation engineer. I've done so many things and all these things. They'll just say, okay, tell me now the principles of REST. Hmm? These are the key principles of REST. Some more guidelines for creating of the REST APIs are that a naming convention should properly be followed. You should be using some slash users, some products. I've showed you like Amazon applications. There are some payment gateways API there. There should be a proper structure naming convention should be followed. Then proper HTTP method should be there. That get is for your retrieving data, post for creating new data, put for existing updating data, and deleting for deleting the data. Fine. Then some data format should be there. Like if you are using REST, then obviously more prominent one is the JSON via protocol or what? Your JSON data has to be sent because these are very lightweight request. Fine. Then status codes. So these are the guidelines that if you're creating, so you should create in such a way that it is known to the user also. 200 response code is something everyone knows now, that it is for successful message that you have fetched some data successfully. Suddenly you will start saying me that Nishan, just set 200 response code for delete. Will you accept it? No, I won't. You have to raise your voice. So that is the way standardized things has to be followed. Fine. I hope this is clear to you. Okay. Now, much of the theory part, all these things mostly have been covered. Now, what I will do, guys, we have to work now technically more towards that because a lot of things coming down the sessions. Okay. So, but one important thing still left. I'll tell you what is this. Okay, I'll open a new page. I hope now guys, now you have a better understanding. Then before, obviously, what REST APIs are, what key principles one has to follow. Okay, what is the difference between API web service and multiple other things? Okay, perfect. Now what? One more interview question that I am going to you know discuss with you because I really don't want to miss it. Simple one, but not so simple. Why? See, let's suppose I'm writing a proper what API I'm writing. Fine, it consists of multiple things. Just check this out. abc.com, and then I'm having what some blogging page is there in which some article is there. Okay, and inside this is an article HTML page. Okay, HTML page is there which is saying that you go on to this particular 1234 ID, and then what? Inside this particular page you go. I'll make you understand all these things. Don't worry if you don't know. It is yeah. And inside this particular page 3 you want to go, and on this particular page there is a section called as with section 2. Fine. This is the API. Okay. Now the question is, what is the question? Tell me, from every candidate, multiple questions are asked. Now tell me, how can you what? Hmm? Uh, how can you should I say? Okay, tell me the different components of this particular API. What this API is consisting of. Multiple components are there. Hmm? If you guys are already working on APIs, you know that thing. Huh? But probably I'll tell you a couple of more things that you don't know also. Now, what is this? First of all, abc.com. Hmm? What is this? abc.com. A domain name, host name, server name, or whatever it is. Huh?
Host name.
So this is something, guys, your either domain or it is host name. Just a second. Fine, it's a host name. Now, what is www then? Hmm? It is basically your what? Subdomain. Perfect. Just a second. It is your subdomain. Hmm? Okay. So now I know www is my subdomain, and abc.com, whatever it is this. After this is my domain, a main domain in my host name. Fine. Okay. What is this now? HTTPS. It is a protocol. What is a protocol? It's a way, or you can consider if you're using an internet, then you have two sort of protocols, mainly HTTP and HTTPS. HTTPS is basically a secure protocol. Fine. And HTTP is what? Unsecure protocol. It's basically a protocol. Any other example for protocol? Hmm? We have FTP servers, file transfer protocol. Any other example? SMTP servers are there, simple mail transfer protocol. Hmm? So we have multiple protocols are there for sending the request from the client to the server. Okay. So, but we will be using for REST, we will be specifically using the HTTP or HTTPS based upon the security. Fine. Then next what? Three things good. What is this backslash block? Hmm? So first of all, this backslash is my path parameter. It is defining me. Some parameters are there, okay, on which I am actually defining this particular entire API. So blog, now what you can consider? You can consider this a sort of an endpoint also, not exactly endpoint, or you can consider a sort of a resource also, but you have multiple other things after this blog. So blog, you can consider it's a what? It's a page inside which you have an article.html page is there. Fine. So then you can consider this entire thing what? As an endpoint. Now this is an entire endpoint you can consider. Fine. Or a resource. Fine. Now, till now here it is clear. It's backslash, if it is there, it's a path parameter. This is a backslash path parameter. Fine. So till article.html is basically a page given to me. This is an endpoint I have to work on. What is this then? Question mark and ID and all these things. So first of all, as soon as you see the question mark, it means this is the query parameter. Fine. Then this is being extended with what? And page. So this question mark, if you have other query parameters also, guys, so this is also being represented with the help of the AND operator. Question mark AND. and. Okay, this is reflecting your query parameter. I'll be telling you, in detail what is query and or path parameters are this. Don't worry, but just try to decode this thing first. Fine. And then next, what? The best thing. What is this? Is this an endpoint resource or what? Now, can someone tell me if you have a knowledge? What is this section? But hash code. Hash is there. Hmm? So this is, guys, called as anchor or a fragment. Hmm? Or a particular section is there. So how will you read this? That you have an HTTP protocol API which consists of an www as a domain, as a subdomain, along with you have a abc.com domain, fine, on which you have a page article.html endpoint or a page is there that you want to look out for. And on that particular page, you have multiple IDs, but you want to check it what? You want to check 1, 2, 3, 4 ID only, and you have to go on a page number 3. And inside that page number, you have multiple sections, you have multiple fragments present there. Inside that page number 3, you want to just select and go on to that section 2. That is how your entire API is decoded. Fine. Now you know endpoint. What is endpoint? What is resource for me? This is the endpoint resource. This is further filtering you are doing with the help of your question mark and operators. You are doing the filtering. Fine. Okay. Now, one more important thing. 3 things. What is this entire thing called? Hmm? This is called as URI, Uniform Resource Indicator. Fine. The entire thing it is called as URI only. Fine. Then what about? Hmm? If I'm just asking you, what is this called? Hmm? This is now called as Uniform Resource Locator for me. Fine. It's a URL. Okay. Then what is URN? There is one more term, URN, Uniform Resource. See, this is Uniform Resource Identifier or Uniform Resource Indicator. This is Uniform Resource Locator. And there is one more term as URN, Uniform Resource Number. What is this? So guys, if you have something on a page with your page number or some sections are there, so that becomes your, see, this becomes your what? URN. Okay. Still here, it was URL. Okay. All the URLs can be called as URI also. But now if you have some sort of a page number and all these things, that you have a number on that page, so it becomes a URN. Okay. It becomes what? I'm just writing it for you, URN. That is Uniform Resource what? Number. I hope this is clear to you now. 3 things. URI, URL, and URN. Fine. Another things, domain, subdomain, sections, fragments. Perfect. Path parameters and query parameters, obviously I'll be telling you, but for now try to understand these are some sort of a filtering techniques. See, you are querying something. You are on that page of HTML, article.html page, but you are querying further it that I want to go on ID 1, 2, 3, 4, and on that page, I want to go on third page. With that page, I want to go a particular section called section 2. So this is, you are doing a lot of queries. You are doing a lot of filtering. For that reason, it is called as query parameter. Fine. Okay, cool. I hope this is also understandable to you. Now, okay, let us now do some practicals. And for practical things, guys, what I need? I will be needing some client, obviously. So for that reason, for testing of our some sort of a manual and then obviously an automation, basic scripting on Postman, we have to use a tool as a Postman tool. So what you should do, if you don't have a Postman installed in your system, just type Postman. Okay, for Windows, you can type. And you just go on this particular official documentation or official site of Postman. And then you can just download your Postman with Windows for 64-bit version. Fine. Same thing, you can do it for Mac or Linux also. Fine. Excuse me. As soon as you download it, a file will be created and you can just run that file. An installer file probably it will be there and you can just directly run that particular Postman file. Fine. Now, this is one of the way. It's very simple. No path variables, nothing you have to set, nothing. No. You can directly launch your Postman from here itself. Fine. Launch Postman and it will be a web version. But it is always recommended, guys, for you to use a desktop-based version by downloading the Postman application only. Why? Because in the desktop-based versions, there are more features compared to your web-based versions. Okay, simple. It's not very complex. You just need to download it from your Windows, Linux, and your Mac OS based upon whatever operating systems you have, and it will then look like this. I have already Postman downloaded in my things, so I'm just going to use this. So let us first of all, I'll do one thing. I'll just cross this out and then I'll open it again. As soon as you will be having Postman downloaded, and then you can, see in this way. Let me just, what I'll do. Okay, so yeah, I'll just, okay. Okay. So just to showcase you guys, this was basically a previous batch that, till now we have worked on the Postman things. Almost everything has been completed. So this is the, what? This is how the Postman should look like. Okay, first of all, I'm just deleting all the requests. Okay, just don't save and don't save. Fine. Now, see what all sections we have inside Postman. First of all, if you are new to the Postman or if you are newly creating a Postman things, what you have to do, you have to know what workspaces is. If you're coming from Java background or if you're attending the Java sessions, I told you in the Eclipse project, first of all, you have to create a project for yourself. Okay. Then inside the project, there are some source code folder. Then inside that, you have to go inside the package and you have to create a class. But in Postman, it's very simple. What it is expecting from you that if you are a new user, okay, obviously you cannot just create your things or you hit your APIs anywhere. What you do, you just do come on this workspace section, create a workspace. And what I'm going to do, create a blank workspace. Next, okay, then I'll just create a Postman what or I'll just do API automation sessions August batch 2025. Fine. Either of the name you can use whatever you want to take it, take it. Okay. Now, two things. You want to use it for internally or you want to make this particular workspace public. Making this public means what? See, it will be accessible to all the developers who uses the Postman. Fine. Next, what? Do you want to utilize it everyone in your team, or you want to only invite the people, based upon yourselves? So since it is you are using internally, obviously there will be no one. Fine. You don't have any team created for this one, and you can just hit it create. It will take few seconds. Can take probably a minute also. What happens? Okay, it should create. Yeah, fine. Set up a team. It is expecting me to set up a team. No, I don't want. See, I don't want right now. Let me just try to first of all. I really don't want. Okay, let me just do it. API automation team name I'm giving. Fine. Okay. Sharing and test cases. Okay. APIs together. Fine. Blah blah and all these things. Confirm it. Let it be. If it is asking for you, let's do it. Okay. Now, can you see this? I'll just cross this out. Overview. I don't need this thing. Now, what it is there? So you can see a API automation session August batch 2025 of Postman. What workspace has been created for you? So this is the workspace, guys, where you can actually work on now, where you can create multiple collections. You can hit the request. This will be specific to you. But before that, what you do, you should do a what? A sign in to your particular user with whichever sign in you want to use. I've already signed it with my, a personal mail ID in which it consists of multiple other workspaces from my companies also, some, practice APIs also. So I have everything here. So you can just first of all sign into this particular Postman and then start working on that workspace. First of all, create a workspace and then further work on. Fine. Okay, cool. So left hand section is what about the workspaces. Then this is a section where you can actually configure your things. Like you want some collections, environments that can be shown here. Yes, I wanted it. Okay, let it be. Other things, if I want, I'll choose it out. Fine. It based upon you whether you want to enable it or disable it. Up to you. Perfect. Now, next what? Next what? You have now Postman installed in your system. You have opened the Postman. You have signed in as a user, and then you have actually created a workspace also. Fine. Then what? So it is recommended, highly recommended, that if you want to start testing your APIs, first of all, create what? A new collection. See, click from here, new, and then it will be asking to you, what do you want to do? You want to directly just hit an HTTP request, use a GraphQL, or you want to create a collection or environment? Environment, I'll tell you later on, but try to understand if I'm creating a new collection only. Fine. So what is the name of the collection I'm giving it to it? So today I'll be working on some HTTP bin org API. So I'm doing it API testing using HTTP bin. Okay, this is an API name. Okay, so I'm just creating a collection and that's it. Fine. You've created a collection. Cool. Now, next what? So make it a habit that first of all, you create a workspace. In your workspace, you must be having a proper collection name given to you. And then don't directly start hitting your request. No, make yourself, some model approach. Try to do what? See, first of all, the three dots, can you see this? Add a folder. So there are multiple requests that we have to work on. We can just name this particular folder as get folder. What is this get? I'll tell you. But for time being, I'll just add two folders. One is get folder and one is post folder. So what happens? What all APIs you want to keep, or what all things you have to test with the get call, you can keep all the combined items request here itself. And what all things you want to test it or creating a user or something like this, you can just use this particular post folder. Fine. Now, almost everything is done for you. Now it's time to hit an API and check what all things are there. First of all, see this. This is an http bin.org site or a website or an API that I'm going to use because it's a sort of a fake library or a fake API you can consider, which whatever data you want to store or create, it's allowing everything. Fine. Okay. Right now there is no authorization for this particular API. Authorization we will talk about later. Today we'll talk about simple things, simple APIs. That what is this http bin.org? So if you want to read this document, this is also a documentation only. Same sort of document you should usually get from your developer once you are working in the API testing company. Like you should be getting some sort of a Confluence page or some sort of a wiki page or some sort of a what? Your Swagger APIs, Swagger documentation, if you heard that term. Hmm? Okay. So these are the different HTTP methods that this particular API supports. It supports delete also. Okay. It supports get also, fetch, post, put. Okay, it supports some authentication methods also, like this way. Fine. Some status code. So all these things it is going to support you. Fine. So you just, if you want to read it, you can just give a glance through it. Now I'm just taking what? A API. I'm just trying to add a request for you, and I'm saying what is the request? HTTP bin.org, and this is the request. Request is for what? For fetching the details from this particular API. So for this, what request I have to use? This is my HTTP verbs. HTTP verb. Okay. Get, post, put, patch, delete, head, and options. I'll be telling you each and everything in detail. But first of all, we will try to test this API with my get request. Get requests, guys, are usually what? Those type of requests which are there to fetch the details from the particular API from the particular web server. Fine. Post is for what? Post is basically used to create a data or the resource on the database server or the web server. Fine. Okay. So let me just try to first of all hit this particular API. Then we will see further details. But for the new users, see this bottom section is what for? For getting the response. Fine. Left hand section is what? For collections, for workspaces and all these things. Topmost section is for what? For hitting my request. Okay. First of all, let me just try to hit this particular request and see what response I am getting. Okay, fine. Then I'll talk more about it. I got some response. Fine. Now, what is this response? Hmm? Tell me. Anything I'm getting in this case? Some responses I'm getting. Some JSON response. Hmm? So what is this response? The response are something which I'm expecting in return. So this response I am getting from where? I am getting from the http bin.org server, from their web server. Hmm? Fine. With the get request, get is something calling my response, calling a API. This is an API. This is a REST API that I told you. Actual REST API that is actually hitting the web server, its own web server, and it is bringing the data to me. Fine. Okay. Then what else we are having? In this bottom down. Do I have any cookies? No. Right now I don't have any cookies because as soon as much I am hitting this particular server, the cookies will start coming for me. But right now I don't have any cookies. What is this headers? So headers are, guys, extra level of information that particular response is having. Like what? First of all, see this. This is the date today. I'm getting, some sort of a GMT way I'm getting the date and time. Fine. What is content type? Content type is a type in which response my body is about. This is a JSON response. So that's why my content type is what? Application slash JSON. Then some content length and connection is alive. Okay, I know. This is a server. This is their server name. From there, the response is getting. Okay. And rest of the things. Okay, fine. So this is my response. I am getting inside my JSON response body. This is my cookies. I don't have headers. I am having. These are called a response headers. Next what? What is 200 OK? I told you there are some status codes that defines what your response is all about. If I am getting a response 200 from the server, that means I am getting a what? Successful response. I have successfully fetched the response, or my data I am successfully fetching it. What is this OK? OK is the response message. See what it is written. It's in green color. Request successful. The server has responded as required. Perfect. Okay. So now I am telling you what are the things that you can actually test as a manual tester in APIs, and what all things you can actually automate. So first of all, you can see the entire response, and if you want to check it out something from the response, you can do it. Fine. Then 200 OK response code is obviously has to be verified. Either you write some validations, scripting, whatever you do, but it has to be done. And then see this. It took how much time? It took 1.89 seconds. Total, what is the memory size of this thing? It is 601 byte. Fine. Can you see this? All this information? If you want to save the response, then you can do it from here. Otherwise, it's a simple response I'm getting. Now, go on to the request section. This is above one is the request section. That what all things you have to include in the request. Now, I told you, we don't need any sort of what authorization for this particular API. So can you see this? I am including any sort of authorization? No auth. It is there, no auth. No authorization needed. Perfect. I told you two parameters. What? Query parameter, path parameter. Am I adding anything? No. This is basically for my query parameter. But can you see, I am having any sort of a path parameter? Yes, I have. See, after one slash, I am having a get. So get is basically a sort of endpoint, which I am actually fetching with the help of your path parameter backslash. Okay. Then what are these headers? So guys, this is the headers from the response I am getting. Fine. And these are the headers where, from where I'll be getting? No, I'll be actually sending it in the request. Automatically, this request headers got added automatically to my request. I'm not adding it explicitly. Automatically, it got added. Like some sort of what? Some sort of Postman token it got added. Then user agent is what? Obviously I don't know. Connection is alive. That's fine. So these are the automatic Postman what headers that Postman is actually adding it for you. Fine. Okay. Do I have anything in body? And what is body? What is body? So I told you, if I am actually searching for an iPhone on an Amazon application, then inside that a JSON request is sent that this person is searching for iPhone. Am I searching for any sort of something, or am I creating any sort of a user or a resource on their server? No. So with the get call, always keep it in mind, you should never give a body. If you are doing this, then you're doing this wrong. If your developer has made in this way, then it has made it wrong. Just raise a defect for it. Fine. For get call, no body should be there. It should be marked as none. Because obviously I don't have any request body. Huh? Fine. What are scripts? That I'll tell you, sometimes later. So scripts are something that you can actually write your test cases in post response. And this pre-request is something you can actually add multiple scripting things that before sending this get request, I should add all these things here on. Fine. This is simple things. Fine. Anything settings and all this? No, I don't need. Fine. Cool. Now next what? This is a simple get request that I showed to you. Fine. And all these things. I'm getting some response. Obviously, it is going to take time because it's a, what APIs most of the people are actually using. So this is one of the get requests. I am using it for fetching some details. Fine. In this, no body, no auth, no headers will be needed. It's just pure about some response I'm getting. Fine. Now, sorry. Can I just try to check with my other APIs? Okay. I'll just try to use a similar API, but now I am doing it inside the post folder. Why? Because I want to create some resource now. So for that reason, I have to use this what? HTTP verb as post. And I am doing this thing as this one. I am saving this request. Always, guys, keep in mind you have to save a request. Otherwise, it won't be counted. Fine. Okay. Next what? Still, I don't have any response since I have not hit this particular request. Now, what I am saying, since it is a post request, and what post request means, that you should actually provide a body. What body? That if you want to create a request, or sorry, a user on this particular API, you should create a body. Or uh, if you don't want, can I just leave it blank? Because see, some APIs are there that suppose both things. That if you have a body uh, to be created or user to be created with the post request, send it with that. But if you don't have a body, then APIs will be fine because it will be only giving you whatever response it is there. Can we just check it? That right now I don't have what? I don't have any body. I want to create a user, but obviously I don't have any body. Let us see what response it will be giving me. See, it gave me something. Now, but check it out what response I am getting. So first of all, it is a post request. Post says that Nishant, you have to create a user or whatever you want to create. It is the request for creating something. You cannot leave your body blank, but it is not giving me any sort of unwanted errors. Hmm? See this. Why? If you'll just go down, so data, can you see this? No data is there. The data is blank. Hmm? Headers are obviously there because that is being fetched from here itself. See, these are the request headers. Huh? Fine. But I don't have any body. Yes, that is why it is not accept. It is accepting that blank body also, but it is not giving me any response, any unwanted response that Nishant, you cannot send a request without body for this particular bin org API. That means, see, JSON is what? It is null here. That means this particular API is actually accepting a null or a blank body also from my end. Fine. Perfect. So this is an example of what? Post request with no body. You should give some meaningful names to your APIs, to your request, so that to whomsoever actually you are sharing this particular collection, he should also be able to understand that what you have done, what testing you have done. Can I add one more request? Because I really want to test it with the body. Hmm? Okay, fine. Now what I'm doing, I'm just again selecting the post request and I want to get the same API, but I want to test it with the different body. I'm saving this particular request. Now see this. Can I check what are the different body ways? Hmm? First of all, see this. I have seen none. None means no body. Then let us move on to raw part. What is raw? And inside raw, it has shown me that Nishan, you have multiple options to be selected for raw thing. That means you can pass your body data in the text format. You can pass your body data in the JavaScript. You can pass your body data in the JSON format, HTML, or an XML format. Can we just try to test it out? First of all, if I want, because see, this API will be expecting everything. It won't give you some unwanted response. That's the beauty of this API. So it is good for the testing purpose. So what I'm saying, I want that I am giving a raw body in the text format saying, hi, my name is anything, whatever you want to write, you can just write it. So this is a body in the text format I want to send. Huh? What are the headers? Already these are the headers being given from the Postman end. But one header got added after adding my body. What is this? This is a interview question now. What the interview question asks, that Nishan, tell me if you are using a post request and inside that you have used a raw text body. Okay. So what is the content type of that header? See, see here. One content type is there. It is text plain. That you are passing a plain text inside the body. That you have to check every time as a part of tester also, that whatever body you are creating, whether this content type is being changed in that way or not. Always give it a try. Fine. Now, what I'm doing, I will be using same API, nothing, no more changes, no authorization again. I'm just saving this and I'm sending it. Now, let us see what response I'm getting. Okay. Now, can you see this, guys? See this. It is saying that yes, your data is my name is Nishan that you have sent. Perfect. And your content type is what? A text plain. You're getting a response? Yes, I'm getting the response. But obviously, see, this is a sort of a fake API, obviously. So it is not returning the same exact response of my name is Nishan from the web server because this is not storing it. Fine. It is working on the real time, but just imagine a case. Millions of people are dumping the data in the server, so the server would have been down. So that's why it is accepting every data and it is returning the same into you. Fine. So can you see this? My name is Nishant is added to my data. And with content type is what? Text plain. Huh? Cool. Good. With 200 OK response code. Okay. Now, can I test it with my other format also? Like I want to give some JSON format. Hmm? Can I give it JSON format? I'll just, what I have to do for JSON? I have to use the two curly braces. And that's what? I'm just saying that name, Nishant. And then what? City, I'm just writing Pune. Okay. This is a key and value pair. Huh? This is a JavaScripting. Key and value pair things I'm giving. Fine. What I'm saying here, I'm saying name is Nishant and city is Pune. Just post this user. I want to create a user. Just can we try it out? But before trying, see this. Headers. Go inside the headers. Can you see this? The content type got changed to application JSON. Hmm? So for text, raw text, it was what? Text plain. For JSON format, it is what? Your application JSON. Hmm? Can we try it? Okay. I'm hitting this request. It'll take some time. Okay. Can you see this, guys? See this. The data is what? It went in the same format. Your Nishant, Pune, and all these things. Huh? But this time I'm getting what? I'm getting some response also from their end. That means a user has been created with the Nishant Pune. That means this API is perfectly accepting response in the JSON term, some request in the JSON format. And that's why I'm getting their response also in return that a Nishant with a name Nishant and a city Pune, a user has been created on my database server. And that's why I'm able to fetch this particular response. Can you see this, guys? Headers, check this out. Any other headers added? No. See, content type is application JSON only. Hmm? Body is this and should be matched with your body, whatever you have sent. So these are the test cases. I'll be writing, advanced level of scripting and all these things to test the request and the response in the later sections. But try to understand first of all manually how this is being written, how you have to test. Fine. Can we try it with what? Some other things, some JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript. Yeah, let us just try it out. What we have to do in JavaScript? I'll just write a small function for you. Function, and I'm just writing a. Just a second. Okay, it is not what. Yes. Okay, now I'm just writing a small function and saying doing what? Same thing int what x is equals to, this is a JavaScript, y is equals to 20, and then do what? You just print it on the console like what? This x plus y. That's it. A simple JavaScript function I'm giving and nothing else. It's a JavaScript function. If you want to beautify it, this whatever you have written, just select this thing, beautify. It will be given into a proper format. Fine. Save it, this request, and now see the change. Headers. See, application JavaScript. Earlier it was what? Application JSON. And then before that, it was text plain. So you have to make sure it is actually adding your proper content type in the request. This is also a different test case. Can we try it now? I'll just try it with a post. See this? My request sent successfully. Fine. But now, obviously, I'm not getting the response. Huh? Because that is expecting a JSON only. But I'm giving what? Some sort of a JavaScript. That's why it is not saying that Nishant, you cannot give request. You just send your request, and if it is feasible at our end, we will try to incorporate the changes. Fine. So it is not giving me a JSON proper response since I have sent what? A JavaScript code. Okay. But the main thing is what? You should understand, huh? That what you have to send. That is what you have to understand with the developers also, that what this API is written all about. What it can actually accept. It can accept my what? I've showed you three ways. Text, JavaScript, JSON. You just try it out with your HTML and XML at your home. Fine. Whether it is accepting HTML, XML format also or not. But I'll just make you see what. Till now, what we have seen, three content type: text plain, application JavaScript, application JSON. Now, if I'm just selecting this HTML code and I'm going inside my headers again, the content type has been changed to what? Text/HTML. This is a change. Next, what? If I'm just selecting XML and saving this request, can you see this? My headers, it got directly changed to application/XML. That is something you have to remember, guys, for an interview also. That is asked, or obviously asked. Fine. If you're not a fresher, it will be surely asked from you, because these are things nobody just cares about. That's what I told. Just people think Postman is all about just hitting the request, getting the response, and becoming happy. Fine. Okay. So I've discussed a body request in what different ways: XML, JavaScript, JSON, HTML, and all these things. Okay. Now, we'll see few more things. What is this? Okay. None we have seen. If I don't want to pass any body, raw we have seen. Some raw format: XML, text, JavaScript, JSON, HTML, XML. Now, what is binary? Hmm? Inside the binary, what we can send? See what option it is giving me. That you can actually select some sort of a file either from your local machine, or you can actually select a file which you have already uploaded to this particular machine. So I do have some data, JSON data is there. So I'm just trying to upload this from here. And then first of all, what we will see, guys, first of all, save this request, go inside the headers, see this content type, what it got to change: application slash octet stream, some binary format. Hmm? So what this request is going to do, that you are actually passing the body data with some JSON data request or a JSON data file which is being uploaded in the binary. So what this binary will do, it is going to create what? Hmm? A binary file for you, and then it is going to send the request to this particular API, hitting their server. And if their server accepts this request, it is going to get your response back. Can we try it? I have already saved this request. I am sending it. See the response now. So see this, guys. This perfectly got all my data here. I'll tell you. I'll just also try to cross check it. This is my JSON data 2.json file. How it looks like, I'm just telling you. JSON data. Okay, where it is. I've used yesterday also for the class. Just a second. Yeah, okay, here. Fine. Can you see this? This is the JSON format written. What? Name Amit Bangalore QA, Amit, Manish, and Pooja. See here. Amit, and that's what? Manish, hmm? And Pooja. See this? So this file got successfully uploaded in the data format that is sending the proper response data. It is bringing the data. Yes, perfectly it is bringing the data. Why? Because it is a JSON format data. That's why it is bringing the data also to me from the response server. See here, response and all these things. This is an entire array of 3 objects. I'm having one Amit, second Manish, and third Pooja. I'm getting a proper response. Hmm? So binary is something if you want to select or send a file, that's it. But what if you can ask me, Nishan, what if I really want to, have 2 things? I want to have to send the data also, some text data also, JSON data also, and I want to send some file also. So there is a way which is known as form data here. Hmm? What is this form data? Now inside this form data, if I'm saying my body consists of, first of all, a name key is there in my body, and my name is what? I'm sending it in form of text. My name is Nishant. Fine. And I'm having some sort of a what? Key I am saying as file, and I am having a file type file. So it is asking me, okay, Nishant, if you have a file name, I can take it anyway. File, somewhat, your default file as a name, as a key I am giving. Now it is asking me, okay, Nishan, if you have something, you can just directly upload it from your machine, or if you have done it right now, you can do it. So I'll just select a different from your JSON file, and I am doing it for some, okay, some sort of a key is there. Perfect. What it's saying? Upload. Okay, that's fine. Now, so what it did, guys, this form data, first of all, see the change in the content type. See, what is the content type? It is saying multi-part form data. You should always remember this thing. Interview will ask you, tell me, Manoj, if you have what? Your body data in the form data format, what should be the content type in this case? So it will be multi-part form data. Why multi-part? Because it is expecting the multiple values in terms of your JSON or text, and then it is expecting a value in terms of your file also. Can I just try to save it and hit it? Hmm? See, this is a file that it got converted in some sort of a encrypted some file is there that's being sent inside a data. Some key JSON file was there. Okay, private key. Fine. It has been sent. This is my, see, next what? Form name is equals to Nishant. Perfect. Now, am I getting proper response? No. Obviously, I will only getting this response from this server. But this server is actually accepting my request that I do have some file also, and I do have some what? Form data also. So form data is something you can actually keep two things. You can always have one file also, or multiple files. It's not about one file. You can have multiple files. See, you can have multiple files, guys. So that's the basic and the best difference between binary and form data. First of all, the difference is that interviewer asked, what is the difference between binary data and form data? That in form data, two things can be sent simultaneously. One is your normal text and then your any file. But in case of a binary, you can just send only the files. Fine. Second difference, in binary, you can only choose one thing, and that is file, and that is to be only single file at a time. And in form data, you can send multiple of the files. So that's why binary is a subset of the form data. Okay, fine. Next, what? Do I have anything else in the body? Yeah, I have one more thing left. What is this? URL encoded. Hmm? So what happens, guys? Sometimes hmm, you have to send your data as an encrypted format. So what this www form URL encoded will do, it is going to encode your data with a base 64 URL, and then it is going to send the data. Fine. But what you can send in this case? Now, it is accepting some values, but it is not accepting a file from my end. So that means URL encoded is also a subset of form data for me, where I can just send what? Some key value pairs. So if I'm just sending what? I'm sending again Nishant name, and I'm sending as Nishant and just saving this request. First of all, what I have to see, guys? See, headers. Come on, headers. See, it got changed, the content type, to application www form URL encoded from the multi-part form data. Huh? And it consists of single name entity. I can have multiple names. I can have multiple key and value pairs like city. I'm just now sending it as Bangalore and saving it again. And then now see the change. If I'm just hitting this particular request, see, it just got my data that it is some sort of a, obviously, see why it is giving form, because this URL encoded is what? Hmm? Tell me, it's a subset of that form data only. Fine. It is giving me this way. And am I expecting any data? No, no data from there way. But it is saying what? Content type is URL encoded. Okay. So things will be go in the encoded format. Fine. Can I unselect one thing and just can I send it with the single way? Yeah, I can do that. See, only one thing is there now. Huh? Same thing, encoded format, but I am not expecting any response in JSON, because this API only expect, and you can only create a user with the help of the JSON data only. Fine. So what we've discussed? We have discussed about no data if I want to send. If I want to send file also, some text values also, we can use a form data. If I want to use some encoded value, then it will be sent it with the help of your URL encoded form. That's what. If I want to send a raw data with multiple ways like text, HTML, XML, JavaScript, JSON, I can do with the raw JSON. I have known binary about that. If I want to select only a single file, I can do it with the help of a binary. And what is GraphQL? See, I'll be taking in the later advanced topic, because very, very advanced thing is this, and we'll be just moving out from our REST APIs. Okay, so you just understand these five things: binary, raw, encoded, form data, none. All these things we can actually send with the body. And now I know what is this headers. Different headers are there. No authorization I have used for this particular API, but from the next sessions, I'll be using some sort of APIs to show you how you can actually authorize the things. Okay, I think enough for today. Most of the things we have discussed, huh? Multiple things. Hmm? So guys, I think that was enough from my side today. A lot of things I have already discussed. Any questions from your end? Yes, Shubhangi, go ahead.
Yeah. So my first question is, if only JSON format is accepted in response, so what is the use of other binary and
No. So
other
understand.
forms?
Yeah. This particular API has been given to us, Shubhangi, so you can test it on multiple things. Why? See, if I'm sending the body data, fine, it is accepting my request. It is not saying, Nishant, you are sending the incorrect request. Had I have had a API being given to me, which is very real time or public API, on which I can only give my JSON request, it would have directly given me a response, some negative response. But this API says, as a part of testing purpose, you can just try to test and test your things, that you can send your body in every way. but I will be giving or accepting the data in the JSON format only. See, whatever response I'm getting it null. Otherwise, what I would have got this thing, fine. But since I am sending as a sort of a binary file or some form data, it is accepting it. That Nishant, yes, you can send your request in whatever way you want to send it, but we will check it out or we will validate at our end whether this is matching your schema also or not. And that's how I'm just only getting the JSON responses in the proper format from their server. Fine. So this
So
is, huh.
is that mean the resources are getting created or not?
Yeah.
Not
So
getting.
basically, no. So basically, no, resources are not getting created at their server side. It is only getting created when I have just put it like this. See, in the JSON format. Okay. So I've just sent it. I'm just doing it again. See, I've done it like now. I have just sent my name. It is a proper JSON. Perfect. It's a proper JSON, correct? And if I'm sending it again, so what the server is saying that Nishant, your data is this. It is saying this. This is a request. But now this is my response. That since your request is validating, it is perfectly fine at my server side. I have created a resource with your name, Nishant, and hence I am sending a response in this way. But for all those other bodies that you have used, whatever request you have sent, I have accepted it, but I'm not creating any sort of resource at my end. That's why I'm not giving you any response. Fine.
Got
Only
it. Yeah.
request is accepted. No, nothing is created on that server side at the real time. Understand this. It is only getting created at my JSON data only. Fine. So because this API is for testing purpose, you can actually test multiple things that whether your data is being sent correct also or not. Okay. Any other question, guys?
So whatever fields are there
Hmm?
in the JSON, we can test all the fields, right? Giving our data.
Uh-huh.
No, no,
Revise your question.
I'm
What you asking?
yeah. So I'm asking you, whatever fields there are in the JSON,
Inside
we
this.
can yes, inside this, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
So we can provide any kind of data for
Yeah,
testing purpose,
yeah.
and we
For
can
testing purpose,
validate.
surely. You can provide any kind of data, but JSON formats are highly accepted in this HTTP bin or case. And if you're using the JSON request only, so a resource will also be provided to you. So whatever JSON request you're sending, you can just try it at your home. You can just try to create a complex JSON, and then you will see you are also getting that proper response in that JSON format only. Fine. Other requests, it is accepting it, but not not creating a resource. The resource will only be created with this request, with this JSON request. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So try it out at your home. Just try to use a complex JSON from some internet and just try to see hit the API and you will be getting a proper response. You'll be getting some response in JSON also. Hmm? Okay. Any other things, guys, I can help you with? Okay. I think enough for today. Multiple things we have told. Hmm? Okay, guys. I think if we don't have anything else, we'll just try to stop it here, and I'll be sharing you all the recordings in Group itself. Okay. Okay, guys. Have a nice day.
Nishant,
Yeah. Yes. Go
will
ahead.
you
Go
be
ahead.
will you be sharing the PDF or the slides which you have prepared as well in a drive?
Yeah, I'll do that. Everything what I have prepared, just give me some time. First of all, I'll just share the recording, and then within some time,
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
share up all the things for you. Okay. Don't worry.
Okay,
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Deepti.
thank
Thank you, team. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
you. Thank you.